Welcome to Hometown Spotlight, a show focusing on people, places, and things happening here in our hometown.
All right, welcome to Hometown Spotlight on Hometown 1340 WLVL, show where we spotlight notable people, places, and things around Western New York, talking about a wide variety of topics. And today we're going to be talking about books. We have a local author in studio, and I want to introduce Christina M. Christina, welcome to Hometown 1340 WLVL.
I am so excited to be here, Frank. I've listened to this station for years and never actually been here, so thank you for the invite.
Yeah, full disclosure, now we did work together a very, very long time ago, and I think this is the first time we've seen each other in about a decade and a half, so it's nice to see you.
You were 12, I was 21. It was all good.
That's a whole other story in itself. So what we're going to talk about today is Christina has written a book called The Secret Sand Circle. And before we dig into that, what do you tell us in a general sense what this book is about, and then we'll get into it as the show goes on a little more.
This is my 7th book. So when I write a book, it's mostly because I get a thought in my head that won't leave me alone. And about, I don't know, in the 80s, started the whole Me Too movement. And then I'm Irish Catholic. Then the Catholic Church got their own series of scandals with the altar boys and the nuns. And it just started to really snowball in my world, in my brain, in my thought process. And the more I thought about it, the more I really wanted to write about it. I am a writer. I've been a storyteller all my life, but I've been a writer in all different fields. And so when that happens, I really don't have a choice. You know, my brain dictates what I do. But the point for me was that a lot of books have been written about trauma and abuse, which is basically what we're talking about here. And they've been written as self-help books. They've been written as tell-alls. They've been written in fiction. And for me, the man who started me on my journalism career was a man named Joe King. And he was my editor in New Jersey. And he'd been a big-time baseball reporter. And he said his one caveat when anytime you're telling a story is tell them what they don't know. And so he really drummed that into my head. And as I started thinking about how could I write about this subject in a way that would be engaging, because that's part of being a writer,
right,
but also was something different that hadn't been done before. And so for a year and a half, it went around and round and inside out in my brain. And then finally one day I was walking through Knox Park, which if you don't know is a gorgeous 200-acre park out by East Aurora. And this idea started to bubble up. And it was a format more than anything else. It was a format of a psychologist and 5 of her patients that she introduces you to, and you watch them work through the 5 different patients' ideas and challenges and what they need help with, their abuse and trauma. She specializes in abuse and trauma, and the unique ways that she helps them. But then at the same time, there's something more going on with the psychologist.
That's a good setup. And now you were talking that it took you about 3 years to write this book. Tell us a little more about that journey.
Well, I'm not your typical writer. First of all, I'm not a trained writer. I'm just a storyteller, and I just keep writing until it comes into a format that people are interested in. So the idea for me was, how do I tell this story, and how do I tell it uniquely? So I don't plan it out like some people have an Excel spreadsheet with their characters and their chapters. That's not me at all. I just start writing and see what happens. And what came to me was the idea of a chapter divided into 2 sections. And the first section would be now. And that would be first person spoken by the psychologist. And her name is Jo Harkins, Dr. Jo Harkins. And that that part of the first chapter is only 1 page long. And every chapter you come to now, and it's 1 page, and it's a 24-hour day. So every time when you come to that first page in the next chapter, it has a timestamp of 8 a.m. or 9:15 or 10:20, so that basically by the time you get to about the 20th chapter, you've gone through a full day in the life of Dr. Jo Harkins, but it's been the first page of every chapter that you've read.
Wow.
And then within each chapter following that goes along, you meet one of 5 patients that she has taken care of and how she has helped them, or they have not helped them, but has worked with them to try to help them with the abuse or trauma that they have endured. And I really wanted to make it appealing to across the board. So there are men and women, teenagers, children. There is a Hispanic young girl who came from Cuba. There is a Native American man. There is a woman in her 50s who is a corporate wife. And there is an African American gorgeous model. And there's 5 characters, and they're all different. And that I wanted people to be able to identify. Because here's the thing, Frank, mental health has such a stigma to it, right?
Yes, it does.
And it's so important because I learned this a long time ago. Your mental health is no different than your physical health. And for some reason, if we go to get mental health, we don't tell anybody.
Right.
Because it's scary or it's wrong or there's some, I'm crazy, all those things that are attached to it. But if you have cut your finger or you hurt your back, you go to the doctor and you get help. And mental health is no different. And we need to get past that. So I'm giving you a psychologist who is unique. She pushes the envelope in how she takes care of her patients, but she's real and she's not perfect. And then 5 patients who all are so compelling. But in between, I give you a break so that there's not always such mental health intensity. Yeah. The psychologist has her office is not an office. She calls it the garden, and it's filled with soft fabrics and nice cushions. And, it's not a leather couch and a desk.
Right.
And then onto that, she attaches a greenhouse because she firmly believes in the power of plants and nature. So she gets her patients in there planting and things like that. So she has a very different approach. She's become very successful because of it. And one of those things is the secret sand circle that she created. Yeah,
this is definitely a unique approach to this book. So we're talking today with author Christina M, and we're talking about her book, The Secret Sand Circle, and it centers around mental health and a bunch of other stuff. And we're going to get into that and more in just a few moments. We'll be right back here on Hometown Spotlight on Hometown 1340 WLVL.